Hello, everyone. Welcome in. Great to have you. Welcome, welcome. We're going to get started in a few minutes. As we wait for some more folks to join us before we jump in, feel free to get logged into your HubSpot portal because we are going to be doing a lot of building and a lot of workshopping today. So as we wait for some more folks to join, get logged into HubSpot. And then also, if you wouldn't mind, pop in the chat and let me know where you're calling in from. We normally get customers from all over, so it's just cool to see. I'm currently in Boston, Massachusetts. I was enjoying the World Cup festivities. So feel free to pop in the chat where you're calling in from, and then get logged into your HubSpot portal, and we will get started in about 2 minutes. Sally's in Chicago. Sally, I love Chicago. I went the first time. I was kind of late. I only went for the first time a year and a half ago, but since then I've been back 3 times. It's such a cool city. Sophia's in Lisbon, Portugal. Oh, I love Lisbon. Such a beautiful place. Natasha is San Antonio, Texas. Hashtag Go Spurs. I love it. I have not been to San Antonio, but I would love to go. I see we have some more folks coming in. Welcome, welcome. It's so great to have you. I'm excited to dive into HubSpot with you all today. If you haven't yet, pop in the chat where you're calling in from, and then also just get logged into your portal because we're going to do a lot of hands-on workshopping today. Diana is in Bogota, Colombia. That is high on my bucket list, Diana. Funny enough, my friend Diana also lives in Bogota, Colombia, so I wanted to go visit her. So we got at least 2 Dianas in Bogota. Awesome. I love it. All right, more customers joining. Welcome, welcome, everyone. Happy Monday. I hope you all had a good weekend. I hope we had some time to reset, to recharge. And for folks that are just coming in, we're going to get started in just a minute. But if you wouldn't mind, pop in the chat where you're calling in from. It's just cool to see. As you can see in the chat, we have folks from all over. You're all from way cooler places than me in Boston, Massachusetts, not to knock Boston. And we're going to get started in just about another minute. I just want to give everyone some time to join. We might have folks running from other meetings and whatnot. And then we're going to dive into really everything HubSpot. We're gonna cover a lot today, so I'm excited. Hannah is from LA. I'm sure you have some great weather per usual in LA. And Katie is in Madison, Wisconsin. Awesome, Katie. My friend Lexi grew up in Wanakee, just outside Madison. So I would love to go up there and explore the lake in the summertime, but I haven't been yet. All right, amazing. So I'm going to get us started right away. If we have more folks joining, totally fine, but we have a lot to cover today. So I'm just going to jump right in. Let me be the first to say welcome to Academy onboarding. Today, we're going to be laying down the foundation of your CRM. So everything we go over today is going to really set you up for success for future Academy onboarding workshops and getting the most out of HubSpot. Just to give you a quick introduction, so nice to meet you. My name is Ashley. I will be teaching you all about HubSpot today. I'm an inbound professor here at HubSpot. Been at HubSpot for just about 5 years. I started in sales, realized, you know what, sales isn't for me. Went to success, and now here I am as an Academy professor. So that's just a little bit about me. Would love to just take a minute to get to know a little bit about you all. So if you wouldn't mind, let me know in the chat. What do you hope to learn today? And what is a hobby or activity that you have outside of work? What is a hobby or activity that you have outside of work? We're going to talk a lot about work today, so might as well take a few minutes to talk about something outside of work. And what do you hope to learn today? Let me know in the chat. What do you hope to learn today? And what is a hobby or activity that you have outside of work? I ask this question and then I think to myself, do I have any hobbies? I like going to yoga, so that's a hobby that I have. I'm not very crafty, so I don't have any crafty activities or hobbies, I should say. But let me know in the chat, what do you hope to learn today? And what is a hobby or activity that you have outside of work? Any hobbies? Natasha said, I hope to learn the efficiencies of managing my accounts in HubSpot. Absolutely. That's something we're going to cover today. My hobby is buying and reading all these books and not finishing them. I have the same problem. I have 4 books on my bookshelf right over there that I didn't finish. So I'm right there with you. If you find a solution, let me know. Katie said transitioning from constant contact, so just looking to dig into all the HubSpot basics to get me along. Absolutely. And Katie said, I run and walk around the state parks in the area. Beautiful. Hopefully you have some nice weather. Awesome. All right, I'm going to keep us going just for the sake of time because we have lots to cover today. But if any of you think of a hobby, let me know in the chat. Hannah said also yoga. Awesome. I don't know if you know Core Power, Hannah. That's like my go-to for yoga. Want to know best practices, getting started with uploading data to set up our team for success. Perfect. We're going to cover an import. So that's great. And Diana said, I'm hoping to really understand the hub, especially the service hub, so that my team and I can really make the most use of all HubSpot has to offer. Awesome. Favorite hobby playing is playing tennis. Diana, I applaud you for that. I tried playing tennis once, and let's just say it did not go well. But great note on Service Hub. I'm going to show you all as we dive into HubSpot. We have different tracks following today's session. So after we lay down the foundation, we have a Service Hub workshop, a Sales Hub workshop, and a Marketing Hub workshop. So you can all then go after this session, after you get the basics, the foundation, the understanding, dive into those tools as well, which is awesome. Maria said, I love dancing. Also want to learn the basics. Awesome. How to use its tools to better organize and manage my client information. Well, it sounds like we're all in the right place here. We're all ready to set the foundation and learn the basics. So let's jump into it. I just want to take a minute to walk you all through how this session is going to run. Actually, before I do, let me give you this special link in the chat. Here is your workbook link that did not link, but that's okay because this second link in the chat is what you're going to want. So that super long URL, that is the link to your worksheet for today's session. We are going to be working together and setting up in real time. The goal of today's session is not perfection. It is understanding how to set up key HubSpot tools, and you retain almost 30% more information doing an activity versus just reading or listening. So what I would like you all to do is when we walk through our activities, log into your HubSpot account and build and workshop side by side with me. And that is correlated directly to this worksheet. If you click that link in the chat, you're going to see your worksheet for today's session. All it has is step-by-step written out instructions for the activities that we're going over today. If you don't like reading instructions, that's okay, because I'm going to do all of these side by side with you. But you would want to save your worksheet as a reference point outside of today's session, because we might not perfect everything today, right? We're just drafting, we're just testing and understanding how to set stuff up. So you can reference your worksheet outside of today's session when you apply your business context to our activities. As you can see, I will provide you, test emails or test data if you want to just use that today so you can understand how to set that up. And then secondly, ask questions. We have a smaller group today, so we can just use the chat for thoughts and questions. So let me know questions you have. If I'm going too fast, if you miss something, this is our space to learn together, and there will be a recording that gets uploaded for you to reference. So ask your questions. I want to get to them. I want to know your thoughts throughout today's session. So what's on today's agenda? Well, I think you all guessed it. It's setting up the basics with HubSpot CRM. So how this session is going to run is we're going to talk about a bunch of concepts, then we're going to do an activity. And then we're going to talk about some more concepts, and we're going to do a second activity. So for part one, we're going to talk about the CRM, how it works, how you store data, and then we're going to do an activity where I'm going to show you how to add your users, create custom fields, and what contact records look like in HubSpot. How do we get our data in HubSpot? After we get that foundation, we're going to spend the second half of today's session customizing the CRM. So making this space our own. We're going to look at reports and dashboards and just really how do we make this space, this smart CRM, a place that when you log in, you're seeing just the data that you need. So that way, by the end of these 90 minutes, you will know how to add users with the necessary permissions and seats, create custom properties that are unique to your business, import your data, customize your CRM layouts, connect your email inbox, create a dashboard with reports. So as you can see, we have a busy 90 minutes, but it's going to be productive. You'll all leave here feeling like you had the most productive Monday ever and ready to start your week. Let's jump into it. So let me be the first to say, welcome to Academy Onboarding. I believe this is everyone's first time in Academy Onboarding, so it's great to have you for your first session. Just so we're all on the same page, everyone in your portal gets access to Academy Onboarding. So if you have a teammate that joins next month or 6 months from now, you can enroll them in one of our workshops. All of our workshops are in the Resource Center. If you don't have this link, I'm popping it in the chat. That's the link to our Resource Center. We run a bunch of different live workshops. This one is getting started. Then we run ones on a hub specific track. We also have on-demand playlists in the Resource Center if you want to enhance your knowledge outside of a live workshop. And then we also have a private Slack channel where you can connect with others and you can ask questions like following up after the workshop. If you have more questions, jump in the private Slack. With that said, I have a 401 error with the workbook link. Okay, so strangely enough, sometimes that happens. If anyone got a 404 error, what I would like you to do is click that second link in the chat, the small one, that takes you to the Resource Center. And you can actually just get the worksheet right on the Resource Center. So that second link should work for you. And then once you're on the Resource Center, you should be able to click the Resources tab. And then that will take you to the worksheets. You can click Worksheets, and we are in Getting Started. So you should be able to get to the worksheet just on the Resource Center. If anyone gets a 404 error with that super long link I put in the chat, click the Resource Center link, click Resources in the top right-hand corner. Under Content Type, go to Worksheet, and you can just access the worksheet right on the Resource Center. And please let me know in the chat if anyone else had trouble getting to the worksheet or if you can't find it on the Resource Center. So let me know, Lisette, if you're able to access it via the Resource Center. So we are currently in Getting Started with HubSpot. And then, like I said, we have 3 other Academy onboarding tracks that you're all going to take following this session. A great place to start is just take the track that correlates to your HubSpot plan. And if you have more than one HubSpot plan, you can take more than one workshop. If you're thinking to yourself, I'm not really sure what HubSpot plan I have, you can click your profile icon in the top right-hand corner of your HubSpot account. You can go to Account and Billing, and you can see what HubSpot plan you have right there. We have Sales Hub. That's going to show you how you can manage your leads, prospect your leads, use sales outreach automation, and close more deals. We have the Marketing Hub track. That's going to show you how you can generate leads, create marketing campaigns, and use marketing automation. Then we also have the Service Hub track where you can learn how to scale your support team, manage tickets, and drive retention. So lots of good stuff following today's workshop. But like I said, we're in Getting Started, so we're diving into the CRM today. Any questions about Academy onboarding just before we hop into the tools? Would you guys mind just giving me like a quick yes in the chat if you were able to access the worksheet? Were we able to grab that worksheet link? All right, perfect. All right, appreciate it. If anyone still has trouble with the worksheet, just let me know. I can help you get it through the Resource Center. So as we go throughout today's session, I'm going to use Pause for Wellness as my fictional company case study. Way more interesting than HubSpot, right? But Pause for Wellness is a company that's a B2B services company, and it works with other businesses to provide pet-friendly events, dog therapy services, or just pet-friendly workplace policy. So I'm going to use Pause for Wellness as my example throughout today's session. You are welcome to also use Pause for Wellness. So if we open up your worksheet, you will see I provided test data that relates to Pause for Wellness. So you can just use that test data as we work through HubSpot together. So I'm going to use Pause for Wellness as my fictional company throughout today's session. And we're going to help Pause for Wellness set up their smart CRM. What is a smart CRM? Well, all a smart CRM is an AI-powered platform that's going to consolidate all of your data into one place. So the idea behind a CRM is that it's one platform. And when I say platform, I mean it's going to tell your whole business story. So contacts, conversations, deals, support tickets, I can see it all in one place. I can see all the information that I need. And then once I have that information in HubSpot, I'm going to get connected data. So I'm going to connect my email. I'm going to connect my website. So then I'll be able to see what are my contacts and companies up to. I can get a timeline of their activity. And what happens is once your CRM has all this data, it's going to get smarter over time because you can use AI, automation, and reporting that's going to have access to all this information all in one place. So the idea is I can click on to a lead that I'm working. I can see all the information about them, the company they work for, what they've been up to, and I can use AI to ask to tell me what's the next step, where do I go from here, write me a follow-up email. It's all in one place for you. So how does HubSpot specifically store all of this data? Well, HubSpot uses a data model, and all a data model is a visual representation of an organization's data. So how do you store your different elements and how do they relate between each other? So with HubSpot's data model, you have your contacts, your companies, your deals, and your tickets. These are objects in HubSpot. Not an object like my coffee, right? When I say an object, what I mean is that this individual piece of data has its own record. So if I'm storing a contact, I can click on the contact and it's going to open up its own record where I can see all the information about the contact. So the contact represents any person that interacts with your business or your team. And then companies are going to represent the organizations that they work for. So I click on a contact record, I can see, oh, Ashley works for HubSpot. I can see that all in one place. Deals represent those revenue opportunities. So I can see if there's any current opportunities. And tickets represent, are there any current customer issues? Are there any post-sales processes going on? So each of these are its own object. They have their own record with information, but they all connect with each other. If you have enterprise, you can also always create any custom objects. So that's how we store data from a bird's eye view. And then within each record, so within the contact record itself, within the company record itself, we have properties. And properties represent fields of information. So if I click into my own contact record, I click into Ashley's contact record, I can see that Ashley works for HubSpot, but I also want to see information about this contact, like first name, email address, phone number, life cycle stage. So we call those properties. So all properties are in HubSpot are fields of information that we need to use so that we can put in the info that we need about our contacts or companies. Luckily for us all, we all already have a library of default properties in HubSpot. They're already there. They're ready to go. Like, of course, street address, phone number, email address. But then, of course, we're not only coming from different places in the world, we're coming from different industries, right? So we're going to need to create our custom properties. So custom properties represent information that you need to store that's unique to your business. So think about if you have a spreadsheet of contacts, what's some information you're storing about them? Some of those fields, they might not exist in HubSpot. So we have to create them. Common ones we see are customer tier, client type, referral source, product of interest. And then you might have some that are more unique to your business. For example, in Pause for Wellness, I need to know what pet size the lead is looking for so that I don't show up to the office with a Great Dane when they're expecting a Chihuahua, right? So we want to make sure we have those custom fields in HubSpot ready to go so that we can store the right information. Pausing here. Any questions I can answer so far about how HubSpot stores data? We're going to see this all visually in just a minute. But while we're going over the initial concepts, are there any questions I can answer about how HubSpot stores data? Any questions so far? Just dropped my cup, but I caught it. Let me know if there's any questions so far. All right, I'll keep moving, but if there's anything that you need me to go over again, let me know. As a pro tip, because we're going to create custom properties together today. So as a pro tip, before you go to create any custom property, search for the property first and make sure it doesn't already exist in HubSpot because you don't want to have two of the same field. So if I go to search for a custom property that I want to create called deal value, and it already exists in HubSpot, I don't want to create it again. It already exists. We can use that default field. That makes for cleaner data. So that's how HubSpot stores and manages data. We're going to create custom properties together. The other thing we're going to initially set up as a group is we're going to get our users into HubSpot and we're going to make sure that they have the right seats and the right permissions. So every time you add a user into your HubSpot account, you need to make sure that they have a seat and that they have permissions. The seat is the baseline access of tools. So seat is like you have a bucket of tools, you give a user you give a user a seat and you say, here's the bucket of tools that you can have. It gives them the initial access of the tools. That's the seat. And then permissions is where you come in and say, you can't do this and you can do that. So permissions is a little bit more specific where you're telling a user specifically what they have access to in the account. There are different types of seats in HubSpot and they're each tiered. The view only seat is the lowest level of access. It just means they can view the data, but they can't actually edit or manage anything in the CRM. So view only seats really only for executives, board members, stakeholders. Think upper management. They might need a view only seat. The core seat is a default for most of the team. So if you're not sure what seat to give a user, you could always start with the core seat, then you could upgrade. And the core seat gives users access to all the marketing and the operations tools. So think creating marketing campaigns, designing emails, operations. That would be the core seat. And then we have one level up from the core seat. That's the sales or the service seat. So the sales or the service seat gives you the highest level access. So it gives you the core seat plus more, and it gives you dedicated workspaces to manage your leads and manage your customers. So the sales or the service seat is for folks that are going to be communicating directly with leads or directly with customers. Natasha said, wouldn't only admins be the one that assign user seats? Just checking. Yes, absolutely. So in order to assign a user a seat and permissions, you need to be a super admin. So you'll see when we go into HubSpot, if you don't have access to add a user, it may be because you're not a super admin. That's okay. You can just watch along on my screen, and then you can always have a super admin add in a user later. Great note, Natasha. Diana said, I currently have a service seat. That's what I'm most interested in understanding better. Yeah, so the sales and the service seat, they give you the most level access. What they give you access to beyond a core seat is in HubSpot, and you'll learn more about this in the Service Hub track and in the Sales Hub track, but there are dedicated workspaces like the sales workspace or like the customer success workspace that you work in to manage your customers and manage your leads. So if you're someone that's going to be talking with customers and working with them, you're going to want that service seat. If you're someone that's talking with leads and you're working with them, you're going to want that sales seat. And the Service Hub tracks and the Sales Hub tracks dive further into those specific workspaces. But really, to simplify it, a question you could ask yourself and your team is, am I going to be talking with leads and customers directly? If I am, I'm going to get a sales or a service seat. If I'm not, I should be okay with a core seat. I should be all set with the core seat. Pausing here. What questions can I answer about seats or anything, any seat you want me to go over again? How many times can I drop my cup holder for you all? Any questions about seats? All right, let me know if anything comes up. That's going to be our first activity for today, actually. Spoiler alert, is we're going to learn how to add a user and assign them the seat. And then the last housekeeping item I want to go over with you all before we dive into HubSpot is how do we actually get our data in our account? We've talked about how HubSpot stores data, and we've talked about how to add our users in the account, but how do we actually get our data into HubSpot? There are different ways to get your data into HubSpot. We can manually add contacts. We can do a smart transfer, we can do an integration, or we can do an import. Smart transfer is a great idea if you have your data in one platform and you want to just migrate it over. You can do a smart transfer. It will audit your data and bring it over. An integration is if you're still using another system, you can just integrate it and have the data pass back and forth. We're going to really be diving into an import today because that's a really easy way to get started with bringing your data in HubSpot. So if your data is in a Google Sheet, in a CSV file, you can just download it to your desktop. You can then actually import all of that data into HubSpot. So that's what we're going to go over today. I feel like we're ready to get into the fun part. It's activity time. So we're going to build together side by side. We're going to learn how to add a user in the account. We're going to learn how to create a custom property, and we're going to learn how to import contacts. So I'd like you all to get logged into HubSpot. And then if you wouldn't mind, just give me a quick yes again in the chat, just so I know you were able to get logged in, so I know we're ready to go. If you need to get logged in now, no worries, take your time. I'm going to leave these instructions on the screen. I know it might be hard to follow along side by side. It might be easier to split your screen in half instead of going back and forth in between two tabs. So if you need to split your screen, you can go to, in a Mac, go to the top left-hand corner, hover over the green dot, don't click it, just hover over it. It will actually let you split your screen half and half. So you can look half at mine, half at yours. If you're in a Windows, just click the Windows key, and then the left or right arrow will let you split your screen. I think it's easier to follow along than going back and forth in between two tabs. No worries that you're just following along today, Katie. That works great. All right, awesome. You guys are so fast. So we're going to get into HubSpot. And the first thing we're going to do together is we're going to learn how to add a user and create a team. This is an exercise 1 of your worksheet. You are more than welcome to just use this test user. So if you don't want to add an actual user today with me, I'll put this test email in the chat. You are more than welcome to just add that test user in the account as well. And then you can just delete them later. It's my best friend test in our test email. Once we are in HubSpot, I would like everyone to go to settings in the top right-hand corner. So you can glance at my screen to see where it is. It looks like a gear icon. It's in the top right-hand corner, and we are going to head into settings. So we're going to head to settings in the top right-hand corner. Click settings. And then once you're in settings, you're going to see a sidebar on the left-hand side. There's lots of options. We want to scroll down till we get to the account management section. And then we're going to find a button that says users and teams. So again, you can glance at my screen just to reference where we're at. We're going to settings in the top right-hand corner. We're scrolling down under account management. We're finding users and teams. And this is where we can add in the users in our account and where we can create different teams to use throughout the CRM. So I'll just do it one more time because I know there's lots of buttons in HubSpot. We're going to settings in the top right-hand corner. Under account management, we're going to click users and teams. This is where you can see all your users in your account. You can also click the seats tab next to the users tab, and you can see how many seats you have. So how many sales or service seats you have, how many core seats you have. You can always purchase more if you ever grow your team. We're going to head back to the users tab, and you should see a button that says add users in the top right-hand corner. So we can click that. We can click create new. If anyone had any trouble getting to this page, just flag it. Let me know in the chat. It can direct you back here. We're going to click add users, and we're going to click create new. And this is how we can add our users in the account. So I'm going to add test. I'm just going to put the email in the email address field. So you're going to put the email of the user. You're going to click next in the bottom right-hand corner. And then you're going to get to a page that says access. And this is where you can assign the user a seat. If you're just using test with me, we can give them a core seat, but you can choose whatever seat assignment matches what the tools they're going to need. You can always change this later. And then once you give them the seat assignment, you can open up this other tab here, and it says choose how to set access. This is where we set up the permissions. I will say there's a lot of permissions. That's to make sure that your CRM is secure. So a great place to get started is actually just to have it use the seat permissions. So we'll just give them access to the tools that correlate with their seat. So that's a great option unless you know that you really don't want this user doing a certain action like adding a contact or deleting a contact. You can just go with the seat permissions, and then if they ever need more access or less access, you can change it later. But if you do want to be really specific with the permissions, you can always click start from scratch, open up this tab, and you can go through every single tool. You can get very specific with these permissions. If you do this with one user, you can then copy it from one user to the next, so you'd only have to do it once. But that's something you can do at a later date just for the sake of time. Great question from Hannah. Do you give multiple seats to an individual? That's such a good question. So each user will have one seat unless it's sales and service. So apologies if that sounds a little bit confusing. I'm going to say that again. So sales and service have everything that a core seat has. So you would never have a core seat and a sales seat. You'll see if I click the core seat, I then can't give them a sales seat. So they're either going to have a core seat or a sales/service seat because they don't need a core seat. The only scenario in which a user would have two seats is if they have a sales and a service seat. So if you have Sales Hub and Service Hub, so this is a very specific scenario. If you have Sales Hub and Service Hub, and you have someone that's going to be working with customers and with leads, so they're basically like a power user, they would want a sales and a service seat. They're going to be in the customer success workspace managing tickets. They're going to be in the sales workspace prospecting with leads. You would want a sales and a service seat. If it's not that specific scenario, it's one seat per user. So I'm either going to have a core or I'm going to have a sales enterprise seat. That's a great question. Michelle said, similar question. If I'm a super admin and I need access to everything, Should I have a core seat too, or is a sales seat sufficient? So sales is actually giving you more access than the core. So Michelle, I would give yourself a sales seat. That's going to give you access to everything. That would give you the maximum amount of access. So if you want access to everything, I would go with that sales seat. It's a good question. David said, why is there only one seat left in the core seat? So on MySpace, so this is telling you how many seats you have left in your account. So I have 8 left. You might see you have 1 left. Everyone else stay on this page right here, but I'm just going to exit out so that I can show David. You have a certain amount of each seats. It correlated to your purchasing plan. So if I click the seats tab, I can see how many seats I have. And so you'll have a certain amount of core seats. You can always purchase more, but you may only have, 1 seat left, 2 seats left, depending. If you scroll down, you can always see how many users you have in your account and what seats they have. So you may need to, change a seat with a user, do some reassigning. But that's just showing you how many total seats you have in your account. So there's not an unlimited amount of seats. You each all have a set amount of seats. Hannah said, does the sales seat give people access to the marketing seats? So the marketing tools are housed in the core seat. But the sales seat, remember, sales and service, they're above core. So sales and service give you everything that the core seat has, plus more. So yes, if someone has a sales seat, they still get access to the marketing tools. Now, let's say you're thinking to yourself, I don't want them to have access to the marketing tools. That's where permissions come into play. Because remember, seats are kind of like, they're giving them that first level access. Here you go. But you can always come in as an admin with permissions and you can say, I don't want you to have access to the marketing tools, even if they get that baseline access with the seat. So sales seat would give them marketing access and sales access, but you could always come in and say, I don't want you to have access to the marketing tools. Really great questions, everyone. Keep the questions coming. So assign the seat. Remember, we can always change the seat later. And then I would recommend just going with the base level seat permissions, or you could even click start with a template. And you could just choose the role of the user and it will populate permissions for them. But remember, with permissions, you can always go back in, you can change it, you can be very specific, you can go tool by tool in terms of what a user has access to. We don't have time to do that in our live session, but it is something that I would recommend doing once you add in your users. Just go through their permissions and just make sure there isn't a tool or an aspect that they have access to that they might not need. Right? You only need people to have access to the tools that they need. They don't need access to all the tools. But for now, don't worry about it too much. We can just choose a template or we can just choose the seat level permissions. Click next. It will review everything for you. It will note if you gave them access to delete any data. So you can see that right there. Click create user. And then that's it. The user will get the invite. So the user will get the invite. They can accept the invite and they'll be able to log into their HubSpot account with that seat and with that baseline access, those baseline level of permissions. So that's how you add users. We also want to review how to create teams. Before I hop into teams, other questions about users and seats that I can answer before we hop into the teams tab. Other questions about users and seats that I can answer. All right, I'm going to keep us moving for time, but you let me know. Even if it's 20 minutes down the line, you're like, oh, I thought of a question about a user. Let me know in the chat. So once we get our users in HubSpot, I would highly recommend adding them into teams. So I'm going to go into the teams tab. Oh, awesome. We have a couple questions in the chat. Question from David. What is the difference, again, between developer and core seat? So a developer seat is a very specific type of seat for someone that wants to code in HubSpot. They want to develop. They want to have access to be able to code inside the CRM. We have open API. A core seat is going to give you all the marketing and all the operations access. So core seat is really, we kind of think of the core seat as like the default seat. So if you want a user in the account to come in and edit and make lists and build reports and automation, they're going to get the core seat. The developer seat is for someone that's actually a developer that wants to be able to code inside HubSpot and maybe build an integration, let's say. That's the developer seat. Hannah said, can you share once more what the extended permissions are between core and sales seat? Yes, so there are differences between the core and the sales seat. So with the core seat, and I wish I could list out all the tools for you. It would take me so long because there's so many tools, but really the way you want to think about it is The sales seat gives people access to tools. If you take a look at my screen here, tools like the sales workspace, where I can go in and I can do AI sales automation. I can reach out to leads. And the service seat gives you access to tools like the help desk and the customer success workspace, where I can work and manage customers. With the sales and the service seats, you also get access to all the other tools. It's like the highest level seat you can have. With the core seat, you get access to all the other tools besides these dedicated workspaces. So I'm going to get access to all the marketing tools, and I can build lists, and I can manage my data in HubSpot. So core seats are for folks that are not talking directly with customers and leads. So they're going to get all the tools that they need, but then some people, they need that extra access. They need access to the sales workspace. They need access to these other spaces. They're going to want the sales or the service seats. And don't worry too much about all these tools. These are covered in the other workshops. That just kind of give you a high level. And then remember, permissions are different because permissions are super granular. Permissions is where I could say, Anthony, you are not allowed to delete any contacts, but you can make deals. So permissions is a little bit different where it's very granular. And you can come into each individual user after they've added, and you can manage all of their permissions, which I would recommend doing. We just don't have the time to go through permissions necessarily today. HubSpot, load for us. Okay, so let's look at teams now. So I'm inside settings. I've added in my users. If you click the teams tab, which is 2 over from users, so if you click the teams tab, this is where you can create teams in your account. Now, why would you create teams? A couple of different reasons. One, it's great to just organize your teams, right? It's just from an organizational standpoint. But 2, you can use teams to organize different tools in HubSpot. Let me give you some examples. If I have a report, I can filter the report by different teams. So which one of my sales teams is performing better? Or maybe I only want to look at a report through a certain team's lens. If I was creating automation, which will come down the line, I could say, take these leads and round robin assign them to a sales team. If I'm going to customize views, which spoiler alert, we're going to do that in the second half of today's session, I could have my sales team actually see different data than my service team. So we want to get in the habit of creating teams. To wrap up this activity, let's just create a test team together. So I would like everyone to click Create Team in the top right-hand corner. So we're going to click Create Team in the top right-hand corner. We're going to give our team name. So I'll say Ashley's Test Team. We can always delete this later. Ashley's Test Team. And then just choose 2 users. Just add 2 users. So I'll add Roy to my team, and I'll add Sarah to my team. I can just hover over the users. I can click Add Team, click Save, and that's it. That's all there is to adding a team. You just want to click Create Team, add a couple users, save it, and then you have your team right there. You can always edit it, or you can click Delete next to there to delete the team. So that is how you manage users and teams in your account. Keep all the questions coming. I really appreciate all the thoughtful questions. I'm going to keep us moving to our next activity. So we're going to segue a little bit off users and teams, and we're going to talk about data again, our best friend data, right? Remember those properties that I noted, those fields of information that we're storing about our contacts, about our companies? We want to make sure we know and understand how to create any custom fields. So take a moment to just think about your data. Think about your contacts. Maybe what information you have in a spreadsheet, maybe what information you collect on a form on your website. Like, what is information that you need to know about your contacts? Because maybe there's some that's unique to your business, and we're going to learn how to create them in HubSpot. We're all in settings in our account. What we're going to do is we're honestly just going to scroll down. So we're already in settings. If any of you exited out, just go back up to settings in the top right-hand corner. Scroll all the way down. As you can see in our CRM session, we spend lots of time in settings. Scroll down on the left-hand side and scroll all the way down till you get to properties under data management. So you're going to get to properties. It's right under data management, and click that tab. This is where we can create any custom fields that we need. You can use the term field and properties interchangeably. So they're really the same thing. A property is a field that you store that you can input information for your contacts or companies or your deals. So again, where we are in HubSpot right now, as we're going to settings in the top right-hand corner, we're on the left-hand side, we're going to data management, and we're clicking properties. It's that very first dropdown. So we're just clicking properties, that very first dropdown. And on this page right here is where we can create any custom fields. Just want to pause here. Anyone have trouble getting here? Want me to show that click path again? Give me your favorite emoji in the chat if you were able to navigate to this page. My favorite emoji is the smiley face, which is a little bit generic, but I do like it. So give me an emoji in the chat if you were able to navigate to this page. Okay. I love the hearts. David, I like that one, the glasses one. Awesome. All right, perfect. Katie gave this laughing face. All right, great. If anyone wasn't able to make it to this page, just let me know. Happy to go back. But remember our pro tip, the first thing we're going to do before we create a custom field is we're going to search for it just to make sure it doesn't already exist. So let's say I'm creating the field street address. I might search street address and I'm going to say, oh, that already exists. I don't need to create that. So search for your field first. Make sure it doesn't already exist. For the worksheet, we are in exercise 2. And I have a sample field. If you want to just go off of my example, if you're not sure what field you want to create just yet, we're going to create pet size for pause for wellness. So I'm going to go back into properties and I might search for pet size. It doesn't show up, right? So I need to create this custom field. We're going to go to the right-hand side and we're going to click create property. So we're going to click that create property button on the right-hand side. We're going to get a pop-up where we can create the property. The label is the internal name for you and your team. And then the field type is the actual type of field that it's going to be. You can create it right here if you want, but what I like to do is down at the bottom, you see a button that says edit more options. I like to open that up because then it gives me a full screen to create my own property. So I like to click edit more options because it gives me a full screen here where I can then design my property. Natasha said, I can't create a property, but probably because I'm not an admin, right? It's a great question. So you don't necessarily need to be an admin, but that is a specific type of permission. So we were talking about permissions earlier. Someone can turn on or off if you're allowed to create properties. It's not normally in one of the default permissions. So it might just be that the admin in your account, Natasha, just needs to turn it on to allow you to create your custom property. And I'll actually put this link for you all in the chat. This is my go-to for permissions. So you can always just send this over to your admin. If you ever don't have access to something based off of permissions, this is our HubSpot permissions guide. Just pass that to your admin and they can see what permissions to grant you. It's a great question. So this is where we can create our custom property and the label is the internal name. So that's what you and your team are going to see. So I'm going to do pet size with 2 Z's because I already created it, so I'll get an error. So I'll do pet size with 2 Z's. And then after you label it, on the left-hand side, you see a tab that says field type. Click the field type. And then this is where you choose the type of property. Pay attention here, everyone. This is important. The field type distinguishes the actual type of field it is. Guess field type distinguishes type field. Seems obvious, but I do want you to be detail-oriented here because it will change how your data is stored. So for example, single line text is going to give them a blank box so they can fill that in. But what we recommend as a best practice is, if possible, choose an option field, like multiple checkboxes where you can check off the piece of information, or maybe drop down select where they can choose an option. It makes for a lot cleaner data. You're going to use these properties across the CRM. You can use them to sort contacts into lists, to trigger automation, to pull into an email as a personalization token. So it makes for cleaner data if you can do an option field. So I'm going to create my pet size field. I've labeled it. I'm going to go to field type. I did drop down select, so I'm going to have different options that people can choose from. And then I'm just going to fill in the options. So take a minute, side by side with me, create your field, just like everything. I don't know why I typed dog. I meant to type large. But just like all of our activities, we're drafting. We can edit it, and we can change this later. So I'm just going to fill in my pet sizes, do this side by side with me. I might add a color so you can click different styling options. And that is how you create your custom fields. You label it, you choose the field type, and you provide the information. Hannah said in the chat, for properties like lifecycle stage, can we update the options available in the dropdown even though it's not custom? Or should I create a custom lifecycle stage with our specific dropdown options? It's a great question. So you can customize the different lifecycle stages. Everyone else stay on this screen and finish your custom property, but I'm just going to show you where you would go. So let's say I want to edit lifecycle stage. This lifecycle stage property, I would call it like a special property where it has its own space to edit and add automation just because it's used so much by customers. So if you want to edit the lifecycle stage, you're actually not going to do it on this page here. You're going to head over to objects, which is right below properties, right where we just were. You're going to click this lifecycle stage tab, and then you can edit the fields. And I would definitely recommend editing over creating a new one, because what you'll also find on this screen here is under this automate tab, you can explore different types of automations for the lifecycle stage, which is really cool, like moving a contact from one stage to the next automatically. So I would recommend editing it, and you can edit it under objects and then configure. I'm going to head back to our properties page. How is it going for everyone? Were we able to create some custom fields? Let me know in the chat. Anyone able to create a custom property? Go back in here, pet size, the 2 Z's, because we are getting fancy here. Drop down select, and then you fill in the options. A couple of things I want to call out, folks, is let's say you have a property and you have 50 options, and you're thinking to yourself, I don't want to fill in 50 different options. You can click this load options button. Do you see on my screen here? Click load options, and you can just paste all the options and it will populate it for you. So just want to call that out. But once you're done, I would like everyone to click create in the top right-hand corner, and we can create our custom field. And again, if it's not finished, that is okay, because we can go back and edit this later. Other questions about creating custom fields before we wrap up this activity? Or anything you want me to go over again, any topic, any click path that you would like me to go over again? All right, let me know if there's anything. I'm going to keep us moving for the sake of time. One thing I want to call out, if you all take a look at my screen here, you see data agent. It says smart property prompt. This is an AI agent. It's brand new, as within the last year or so. It does use credits. Credits are tokens that you can purchase for AI agents, so just note that. But it's very cool. What it can do is if you have a field that you need to research, so you need to go across the web to find information, data agent can do that for you. Let's say Pause for Wellness is running a campaign where we have a product that's very good for the environment. I could make a property called, does this company have sustainability reports on their website? Data agent can go find that information for me. So just want to call that out, something to explore down the line. It's very cool. All right, we're cruising, folks. So for this next activity, you can sit back, relax, and watch me. I'm going to show you how you can import your data into HubSpot. David said, could you explain how one would go about creating a field for someone who spent more than a certain amount? For example, when a customer has spent more than $100 at my store. It would depend on how you'd want to populate that information, David. That's a great question. So if it was something where you would be self-storing it, then it could be, then what I would recommend doing is something simple like just a checkbox. So like if they spend more than 100, then it's checked off. And then and then you could easily sort them, like via segment. You could just say any contacts that have $100. Actually, as I'm saying this, David, I've come up with a better idea that I just thought of myself. So let's just say $100 more. We can go to field type. 2 ways. You could do multiple checkboxes with one checkbox. If they spend more than $100, it's checked. If they didn't, it's not checked. We also have, I thought we had a different one. I thought we had a true false. I can't find it right now, but maybe ask tech support about a true false, but something like this. Yes. And then it's just checked. That's how I would do it. Just simple. It's a checkbox. If they spent more than $100 at your store, it's checked. If they haven't, it's not checked. If this is something that you want to be done automatically, you could then look at building automation or integrating with the platform that they spend to then have this property be automatically updated. But I would do something simple. Just one checkbox. If they spent more than $100, it's checked. If not, it's not checked. And let me know if you have any follow-up questions. So multiple checkbox for the field type, and you would just label it yes. It's a great question. So for this next activity, you all can sit back, relax, grab a snack, grab some more caffeine, and I'm going to show you how you can import your data in HubSpot. If you do want to follow along with me, if you're enjoying the hands-on, then I have this sample spreadsheet for you I just put a sample spreadsheet in the chat. So if you want to follow along, you're more than welcome to. You can just download that sheet, but you also can just watch my screen. And then when it's time for you to import your data, you can do so as well. To get started with an import, we're going to go to the CRM and we're going to go to contacts. So we're going to go to CRM and we're going to head into contacts. And once we're on the contacts page, we are going to come back here later. So stay tuned. But to get started with an import, we're going to go to add contacts and we're going to click import. So we're going to click add contacts and then we're going to go to import. That's how we get started with our import. If your data is in another platform, you may want to explore a smart transfer. You can do that right on this page. You can click this link to learn more and you can just transfer your data. We're going to head over to import on the left-hand side. So I'm going to click import data and then I'm going to import my file. One thing you all have to check, if you remember anything from this activity, is you need to have the email address of your contacts. This is what HubSpot uses to tell one contact from the next. This is how I know Harper is a different contact from Aiden. It's the email addresses. So if you're importing contacts, you need to have the email address inside your spreadsheet. I can check that. I'm saying, okay, yes, I have my email address. So I'm head back over to the import page. You can do a quick import, which we're going to do today if we're just importing contacts, but you could also do an advanced import where you could import contacts and companies and deals. It's actually the same process that we're going to walk through today. Just takes a little bit longer because you're going to be mapping more data. So I'm going to go to quick import. And then I'm going to choose my file and I'm going to upload my file. So I'm going to click choose file. And then I'm just going to pull in my sample spreadsheet into HubSpot. Now, the next screen is the most important screen. So pay attention here. It's going to be step 2 of 3 of your import. This is where we map our column headers to data in HubSpot. So each header, first name, last name, email address, phone number, pet size, they get linked to a contact property. So remember those contact properties we were creating? You want to create any custom fields that you're going to map in HubSpot. We want them to be created because every column header gets mapped to a field. And we see that right here. So first name goes to first name, last name to last name, email to email. So we want to make sure that's all mapped. If you ever imported a column header that wasn't mapped, that's okay. We actually can click under HubSpot property. We can click this drop down and we actually can click this lightning icon and we can just have Breeze AI, which is like your ChatGPT of HubSpot, create the custom field for us. So even if you import a file and then you realize, oh, I didn't actually create that property in HubSpot yet, that's okay. You can do it right on the import page. But the important part here is that by the end of this page, you have a bunch of green checkboxes because you've created all the fields or they already exist in HubSpot. You click next, check off that you agree that the contacts for the import are expecting to hear from the organization. Click finish. And then that's it. That's how you get your data in HubSpot. If this went wrong, you can always delete it and start again. So just note on this page, once the contacts load, you can always delete them. Questions about importing your data or getting your data into HubSpot. Hannah said, were those contacts automatically added as marketing contacts? So you will see, not on my account, but for my marketing hub folks, you will actually see a button like on that import process. This is a demo account, so it's a little bit different, that you can check off where you can mark them as a marketing contact. Otherwise, they won't go into HubSpot as a marketing contact, but you can check it off to take that whole import, make them a marketing contact. The other thing you could do is, let's say you forgot to check that off. Once they're in HubSpot, we give this a little refresh. You can see all your contacts. I could always check them all off, select them, click more, and you will also see an option right here. Again, demo account, so I don't see it, but you'll see an option here that says like bulk mark them as marketing contacts. Good question. All right, awesome. So that's how you import your data. If you ever get stuck in an import, technical support is here to help. Click the question mark up here. I recommend calling. I think it's easy to explain where you're getting stuck over the phone. So you can just call this number, link to international numbers, and just say, hey, I got this error in an import. They can help you out. So just note that with the imports. Okay, guys, we're cruising. Give me a quick pulse check in the chat. One word, how are we feeling? How are we feeling? One word in the chat. I just dropped it again. Like, we're all human, right? How many times can I drop my cup holder while on this session? Awesome, great, good. Okay, awesome, glad to hear it. All right, great. So part 1 is harder than part 2, and we made it through part 1 together. David said, could you go over the import quickly one last time briefly? Absolutely. So let's just say I wanted to do it again. I'm going to go CRM. I'm going to head to contacts. We're going to be back in this page in just a minute, so stay tuned for more on this page. For the import, all we really need to know is we're going to add contacts. We're going to create new. No, we're not. We're not going to create new. We're going to import. We're going to add contacts. We're going to import. We're clicking import a file. We're going to click import data, quick import, and then we're going to upload the file. After you upload the file, that's where you're going to map the properties, but that's how you get through the import. So if I were even going to just upload my spreadsheet again, no problem. Then this page, you map it, and then you're good to go. Then your data's in HubSpot. So that's how you'll import. And remember that this will be uploaded onto the Resource Center in a couple of days, so you guys can reference that as well. So we're crushing it. We're having probably like the most productive Monday in all Mondays. We've created a user and a team. We've created a custom property. We've imported our records. We've seen the contact record. We can now move on to the second half of today's session. But before we do, I see I have some good questions in the chat. Michelle said, when I connected my Gmail account to HubSpot, I was given the option to import my Gmail contacts at the time, but I don't see them in CRM contacts. Can you explain why? Do I need to manually import them as a spreadsheet as you did in your demo? So I would triple check with technical support, Michelle. My understanding, we're actually going to connect our Gmail in part 2, but my understanding was that when you integrate your Gmail, it only logs contacts going forward. So I integrate my Gmail. Then as I start to send emails, the contacts get logged. But the option that you were saying you saw where you could import all your Gmail contacts, that might be an option that I was unaware of. So I would double check that with tech support before you import your data, just to make sure there isn't a way that you can do it through Gmail. But normally the way that I recommend is import your past data. Once you connect your Gmail, all the contacts that you email going forward will be logged in HubSpot and tracked. But just double check that with tech support outside of today's session. That's a good question. Can you chat more a bit about uploading linked objects? So like new contacts and companies. Yes. So you know how email address is the golden tier unique identifier for contacts? For companies, it is website domain. So if you're going to do contacts and companies, it will be the same process. I'll even show you if I do import data and I click advanced import, I'm going to upload my files and I'm going to map it. You just have to tell HubSpot what do I want to import. So I'm going to import contacts and I'm going to do companies. I'm going to click next. I'm going to ask you a few more questions. I'm going to upload the file saying, do you want to create contacts? Yes, I want to create everything. I want to create everything. Choose a file. You want to have companies' website domain. So you need the email address, you need the website domain. I think it's easier to sometimes do it in multiple files. That's just me. I like to have a spreadsheet of my contacts just like this. And then I have a separate spreadsheet of my companies with the website URL. I upload them separately. They both will be updated. I'll get all the information. So it's a very similar process. But you could also do it in one spreadsheet. So I could just add more columns. I could add a column for company name. Then I add a column for company URL. And so then when I go to James, I would just put Brightwave as the company and I'll put Brightwave as the URL. So same process. It's just basically adding in the companies. You just want to make sure that you have the website domain. And let me know if you have any more questions about that. For our next part of today, we're going to spend the last 30 minutes not just looking at how we set up the CRM, but how do we customize it? So how do we customize all of those spaces that we just started to explore so that we're seeing the data that we need? And there are 3 main areas that you can customize your CRM. We're going to go through all 3. Number 1 is the index page. That's where we just were, right where we started our import. The index page is just where we can see all of our contacts. So we want to customize this page so that we're seeing the information that we want to see. We also can customize the contact record. So when I click into a contact and I'm looking at all their information, I can customize that as well. And then the last thing we want to customize is the creation form. So let's say I'm a sales rep and I'm creating a deal. Let's say I'm a service rep and I'm creating a ticket. I want to customize that form so that when I'm creating a deal or when I'm creating a ticket, I'm putting in the right information. If I'm manually creating a contact in HubSpot, I can put in that information, right? So we want to make sure that we're able to customize all three of these areas of the CRM. Hannah said it won't automatically create a company for James in the sheet you uploaded based on his email. Correct. There actually is a setting that you can turn on to have it automatically create the company. So if you guys would like HubSpot to maybe look at like Beacon Wellness LLC, let's say, and then you want to create the company and associate it with Chloe, we can turn that on automatically. Bear with me here while I remember exactly where it is. So we're going to go to settings. And then I believe we want to go to settings. We want to go down to objects, right where we were customizing the lifecycle stage. We're going to pop into the company record. And then once we're in the company record, we want to click associations. Or maybe setup. It's in one of these areas. You can definitely, oh, right here. This is what we want. This is what we want. Automation down below. If you turn that on, Hannah, it will automatically create the companies for you. So that way it will just base it off of the email domain. So settings, objects, and it will create that right there for you. Awesome. Great questions. Diana said, is this section going to focus on looking over Service Hub setup? I'm interested in understanding how to make the best use of Service Hub especially, or something specific in the Academy Center. I can look that over. Such a great question, Diana. So if you remember at the beginning, we were going over the different workshops. Today is getting started with HubSpot. So today's workshop is all about CRM. It's all about laying down the foundations so that you all are set up for success in your other workshops. We have a whole Service Hub workshop track that you can sign up right on the Resource Center using workshop registration. That normally comes after today's session because today's session is basically step one, you can think of it. And then after, you'll attend the Service Hub one, but you need to have the stuff we go over today kind of as like the groundwork for the CRM. So that way you're set up for success in your Service Hub workshops. We don't focus on Service Hub with this one, but you'll take that one next week or even later this week. And then that one will dive into the Service Hub section itself specifically. Good questions. So as we're customizing in HubSpot, I want to leave you all with just a tip. Sometimes it can feel a little bit overwhelming, like what data do I want to see? Really just ask yourself, what properties do I need accessible to make data entry easy? So if I'm working in HubSpot and I need to mark something about a contact, or I need to create a deal, or I need to create a ticket for a customer, what information do I need to input into HubSpot? That's the data that we kind of want to pull to the front, that we want to be readily available for our teams so they can work very efficiently in HubSpot. So we're going to go through customization together. And then we're also going to go through email connection. So I know Michelle noted that they already connected their email. We all want to connect our personal email in HubSpot. It's your work email. So when I say personal email, I mean your work email. Mine would be amassicott@hubspot.com. It's connected in HubSpot because HubSpot runs out of HubSpot, right? But when you connect your inbox to HubSpot, then all your sent emails, they get logged. Those new contacts get created. You can download the extension to get open and click tracking. And my favorite part about the email extension is that I can take my templates, my email templates from HubSpot that I've created. I can pull them right into my Gmail. You can pull them right into your Outlook, right into your Office 365. We also can connect the team email. That's for teams. So think about if you're contacting support@google.com, support@hubspot.com. That's a team inbox. It's a team address. We get different users set up in that space. If that's part of your process, you're going to set that up as a team inbox. So I'll show you where to do that while we're connecting our personal inboxes. It's also in settings, a very similar process. And then last but not least, for my marketing folks on the call, we're going to want to connect our email send domain because we don't want our emails ending up in spam folders, right? I lost a ski ticket this winter. It was just in the spam folder. I didn't think to check it. So, your leads won't also think to check their spam folder. So we want to make sure that we have our email sending domain connected in HubSpot. This process is a little bit more technical. So you may need to loop someone in from IT, but I'll show you where to find that area in HubSpot so that you can have someone go ahead and connect the email send domain. Today, we're focusing on the personal inbox. We're going to learn how to connect that. Only takes a couple minutes. And then our very last activity that we'll do, I've saved the most fun and the easiest activity for last, is we're all going to save a dashboard in HubSpot. A dashboard in HubSpot is a library of reports because we need to be able to see what's working and what's not, right? And luckily for us all, just like with properties, we have a library of default dashboards. Each dashboard has over 20 reports available. They are filled with our most popular reports. They are pre-built out and they're segmented by rules. So we'll end today's session having all of us just pick our favorite dashboard and save it. So that way, as we start to get our data more in HubSpot, we'll see that report populate. You can always, of course, create custom dashboards and you can create custom reports. But sometimes that can feel a little bit overwhelming. So I always recommend just start with the default ones. And if you ever find you're missing data, you know you have the custom ones as an option. So are we ready to get into HubSpot one more time for these last 3 activities? Give me a ready in the chat, ready to go once you're in HubSpot. We're going to go through these last 3 activities and then I will let you all enjoy the rest of your week. So give me a ready in the chat once you are back into HubSpot. I'm again just going to bring these instructions on the screen right here. I love it. I love it, David. Just in case any of you need to split your screen again. So you can split it in a Mac, split it in Windows, just leaving these instructions on the screen. Looks like everyone is ready. I love it. And I didn't drop my cup holder this time. So for our very first activity, we're going to customize the CRM. Customize, customize, customize. Customizing sometimes takes some thought process and some time. So click through all of these areas with me. But just note, it's totally okay if you have to go back outside of today's session and customize all these areas. I just want to make sure you all know how to do it so you're equipped to finish customizing the CRM. And again, of course, where are we at in our worksheet? Well, we are all the way down to exercise 5. So we are in exercise 5 if you want to reference those areas and the instructions. The first place we're all going to head to is the contacts page. So right where we started our import, we're going to go to CRM and we're going to go to contacts. So we're going to head back to the contacts page. And we want to customize this page. Make this page your own. These columns that you see on this page, name, email, city, I even have my custom property pet size, we can change these. And this is just for us. So if I edit all what columns show up here, that's for me to see. My teammate can then edit the columns differently depending on what information they want to see. So what I would like everyone to do is hover over any of the column headers, could be email, could be city, click the 3 dots, and you'll see 2 options, add column and remove column. So remove any columns that you don't need to see. So for example, if I don't need to see what city my contacts are in, I'm going to click the 3 dots. I'm just going to click the X, remove it. I don't need it. It's not important to me. And then I can hover over the 3 dots again, and I can click add column, and I can add in any properties that I would like, both default ones and custom ones. So maybe I'll add in, let's see, maybe I'll add in company size. I really want to know company size. So I'm going to click company size. It's going to populate as a column, and then I can drag and drop it depending on where I would like. So you can customize this page so that you can see the information that you need to see. I was just rerouted, but I'm going to go back to the contacts page. So you can see I can customize all of these different columns. Now, if some of the columns are blank, just note that you all have access to HubSpot's enrichment software. So you can actually check off your data. You can select them all and you can click this little sparkle icon. It's free, it's part of your plan, and you can have our enrichment software fill in those empty fields so you can get more enriched data. So just note you have that as an option. The other space we can customize here is these tabs. So you see how I have all these other tabs besides just all contacts? My guess is most of us don't need to see all of the contacts all the time, right? So we can click this plus icon and we can actually create a new view. And we can use any properties, custom ones, default ones to create a custom view. So a property that I really like, if I go to create a new view, and you can just watch along on my screen for this one, is there's a property called unworked. So if I am a sales rep or a service rep, I can see what contacts I have not worked. So once you create a custom view, just click this advanced filters button. Click advanced filters, and you can add in how you want to filter down your contacts, but it will save. So once you add in those filters once, it then saves as your own custom view. So I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to take any of the contacts that I own. Contact owner is a property that you all have access to. You can make yourself the owner of leads or customers. And I'm going to say the contact has been unworked. Another default property that you all have access to, unworked, is true. And that means that these are contacts that I owned that I personally haven't reached out to. So I'm going to save this as a view. Now when I log into HubSpot every single day, I have all contacts, but then I also have my unworked contacts. I can get started with those contacts. I can even check it all off, click more, and I can even start enrolling them into some sales outreach. More to come on that in the sales workshops. Any questions about customizing the index page? This is called the index page, by the way. If you're ever reading like a how-to article, we call this the index page. Let me know in the chat if there's any questions about customizing the index page. Once we're done customizing the index page, we then want to go up here and we want to customize the creation form. By the way, in this session, I'm using contacts as my example, but I want you all to know that this process that I'm doing, you can do it for companies, you can do it for deals, you can do it for tickets. It's the same exact process. So I'm just using contacts as an example, but you can create custom deal views, custom ticket views, and custom company views as well. To edit the creation form, we want to go to add contacts in the top right-hand corner and just click create new, kind of like you're creating a contact manually. So we're going to click create new, and then we get our creation form. So let's say I wanted to create myself as a contact. I would start filling out the information, right? And so this is the form that we want to customize because we want to make sure that our teammates are inputting the right information. So all we do is we click edit this form in the top right-hand corner, and we get taken to this page where we can just edit it. We can change it. So first, look over all the fields. Any that you don't need, hover over it and remove it because you don't need extra fields on that form, right? We're trying to drive efficiency. Once you've deleted any fields that aren't relevant by clicking the trash can, over on the left-hand side, you can search for properties and you can add any. So maybe I want to add in pet size, which I've actually already added in, but you can search, check it off, add it to the form, and then you can drag and drop. If you want to make a field required, you can just hover over it. You can just click the star. And then your teammate has to fill in that information, you or your teammate, to be able to create that contact or that property. If you wanted to get fancy with it, know that you can add any conditional logic. So let's say, for example, if they tell me that the lifecycle stage is a marketing qualified lead, I want to populate another field saying what product they're interested in, but only if they're already at that stage, because we wouldn't know if they were at an earlier stage. You could add some conditional logic. You just choose the two properties and I say, okay, if their lifecycle stage is MQL, tell me what product they're interested in. So you can add some conditional logic. You might not need any, but just know it's there as an option. And then lastly, these three arrows down here, we can add in any associations. So let's say when someone creates a contact, I want them to put in the company. I can just check off company. And then anytime someone creates a company, anytime someone creates a contact, they have to create the company. So that's the record creation form. As you can see, it's a similar idea. We're just pulling in all those properties and just showing up and just noting which ones we want to show up and which ones we don't necessarily need. We have one more area to take a look at customizing. I've saved the best for last. Before we do, any questions about the creation form? Let me know if anything comes up in the chat. I'm going to keep us going. Just want to be wary of our time. I want to make sure I get you all out on time. Diana said, could you show how it looks for creating tickets? Yes. So I'll show you. What we would do is we'd go to CRM and we would go to tickets. Sorry, my mouse froze there for a second. CRM tickets. Now in the Service Hub workshop, don't worry too much about this. They go over heavily this whole area and how you can customize it. But if you go to add tickets, you can see it's the same exact process. You click create new, and then you click edit this form, and you get the same exact pop-up. It's just for tickets. So same process, same pop-up, but now we're actually editing the ticket creation form, not the contact creation form. Let me know if you have any follow-up questions about that. But I went to the tickets page, I clicked add tickets, create new, and then I clicked edit this form. It's a good question. All right, awesome. So the best for last, how do we actually edit the individual record? What I would like you all to do is just go to your contacts page. Just go to your list of contacts where we just were, that index page, and click on any contact. I'm going to click on my best friend, Nicole. Just kidding. I don't know who Nicole is. Probably made up person for the demo account, but I'm going to click into the contact record. And when you open up a contact record, I want you to think of it as having 3 parts. The left-hand side has all the information, all of our properties. The middle has the activities. The right-hand side has our associations. We can customize all of it by clicking the settings icon in the top right-hand corner. So you can click this settings icon in the top right-hand corner, click customize. It's going to take us into settings, and then we want to click into the default view. This is the view that everyone sees when they open up a contact record. Note you can create different views for teams. I mentioned that earlier, but for now, let's just customize the default view. So I'm going to click default view, and this kind of opens up the bone structure of the contact record. Now, this is something that I encourage you, take 15 minutes this week, 20 minutes maybe, to customize this section, because it will really help you in terms of your entire CRM journey. So let me show you the 3 areas you can customize. On the left-hand side, under the key information section, we can edit all of the properties that show up on that card. So this is what's going to show up when you click on any contact. And if you don't need any of them, just like the creation form, delete them. And if you want to add any, click add properties and just add them. And then they'll show up on that card. Click save. Great question from Hannah in the chat. Does this change the view for all users? So the default view, the one that I clicked into, changes it for all users, but you can create it on a team basis. So remember in our first activity when we were creating teams, I can only have it change for one team. So if I exit out of here for a second, I go back to the Customize tab, I can click Create a Team View instead, and then I can only have it change for certain team members. But the default view is for all users and teams. We are changing it for everyone. So you'd probably want an admin to do this. So that's how you change the right-hand side. Now, in the middle, this is where we can have some fun. I would say start with customizing the left and the right-hand side, but the middle has a lot of cool stuff. So for example, let's say I don't need to know customers' health scores. I can just click exit, don't need it. I can always add it back in later. But then I can click add cards and look at all of these cool cards that you can add to the middle. For example, if I want my sales team to see what they're up to this week, how many emails or calls they've had, I can add that as a card. If I want to get an AI summary of the object, I can add that. So just browse through these cards, and any that pique your interest, click create card. You can add them to the middle section. And then last but certainly not least, on the right-hand side, we have all the associations. And same idea, same thought process, any that are not applicable, click the 3 dots and just remove them. And if you need to manage something that doesn't exist or you don't find it there, you can always click add. You can browse through all of our cards and you can add any that you need. My guess for the right-hand side, you might just be removing some because we by default put a lot of them there. So on the right-hand side, you'll probably just remove any that are not applicable and you can click and you can drag them along. For the sake of time in our live session, we can't spend too much time customizing this, but I want to make sure we all understand how to customize it because I'm assigning it to you all as unofficial homework to come to this page and customize the left side, the middle, and the right side. So on that note, before we end our customization, any last minute questions I can answer about customization in HubSpot? All right, amazing. I'm going to keep us going for the sake of time. I have saved the last 2 activities as the easiest 2 activities because I figured how much brain power can we have, right? So for our next activity, we're going to connect our personal email. If you've already connected your personal email, sit back and relax, but don't leave the session just yet because I have a lot of good stuff for you all in the last 5 minutes. And so definitely stay on till the end, but you can just hang back and relax for this activity. But for the rest of us, I want to show you how you can connect your personal email in HubSpot and how you can connect your team email for that team inbox. So we're going to go into HubSpot, and you all guessed it, where are we going? Into settings. You can see in the CRM section, we spend quite a lot of time in settings. So I'm going to click settings in the top right-hand corner. And once you're in settings, you should see the very first tab in settings says general. You can just click it. So settings, general, and then you can click the email tab. So settings, general, email. You're going to click connect your personal email. You're going to log into your email and it's going to be connected in HubSpot. So it only takes about a minute. I'll walk through it side by side with you. but we're going to go to settings, general, email, click connect your personal email in settings, and then you can connect your email. I would recommend turning on inbox automation, because what that's going to do is your logged emails, if AI can understand information about the contact from the email, it will enrich your data further. So I would turn it on. Click connect your inbox. I'll put in my email. Next, click connect. You have to click continue. You have to check off some boxes. I'm going to log in. Hopefully I remember my password. I'm just kidding. Click continue. You can see you just got to walk through a couple housekeeping items. Allow. And then, huzzah, we've connected our email. And then your email is connected. Once your email is connected on this page, I just want to point out that you can download the email extension, which I would highly recommend you do. You don't have to do it just now. So for now, you can click no thanks, but you can scroll down right on this page, open this up, and you can download the extension. So whether you're in Gmail, Office, or Outlook, you can do so. If you're connecting a team inbox, same exact process. You're just going to scroll down into settings until you get to the area that says inboxes. I believe it's all the way down under tools in settings. You're going to click inbox and help desk. You're going to open it up. You're going to click inboxes, and you're going to walk through this flow to connect your team inbox. So very similar process, but you're going to go to inboxes for team email. For the rest of us, we're going up to general, and we're connecting our email. We have one more activity today, but before we get to our activity, as always, after every activity, any questions about emails or email connections? If any of you have trouble connecting your email, again, tech support is here to help, because they can go into your account, they can see what's going on. So just note that if you had any trouble on the live session. Hannah said each user has to go through this process. We cannot do it for them. Correct. So this is a per user. The team inbox is for everyone. So like if I connect support, that's for everyone. This is individual. And in fact, adding on to that, oh, awesome. Natasha had the same question. Adding on to that, everyone is also going to want to download their own extension, because it's going to connect to their browser. So like I use the HubSpot Gmail extension every day. I had to connect my email, and then I downloaded the extension myself. Now I can pull everything into Gmail. It's a great question. All right, we've kind of come to our grand finale. We have one more activity. If you're going to be hands-on for any activity, this is the one to be hands-on. It's easy, it's satisfying. We all can just save a pre-populated report in HubSpot, and then we'll watch that data come in as we continue to work in HubSpot. So this is going to be our last activity, but hang on after this activity for the last 5 minutes, because I have some wrap-up items I want to leave you with. So hang on for the last 10 minutes. Hannah said, if someone's going to be sending emails to our customers in a pipeline and link their email via Google, do they need a sales seat? So it depends on what type of emails. So technically speaking, if they just want to connect their email and just send like a one-off email. So I go to the contact record and I'm emailing Nicole. Like Nicole's my customer, and I could view Nicole in a pipeline. So I could see where Nicole is in a pipeline. I could click it and I could send them just, a one-off email. If I wanted to use some of our sales outreach tools, like maybe I want to do a sequence. So I want to send Nicole a series of emails, or maybe I want to view Nicole in the sales workspace, then I would need the sales seat. So basic level, just viewing customers in a pipeline and just sending them, one email or sending them an email in Gmail should be all set with the core seat. They want to use any of the sales tools, like the sales outreach tools, like sequences, which you can pull into Gmail. Then you would want that sales seat to bring in those sales efficiency tools. And the sales track goes over exactly like how these tools work and how to set them up, but you can pull in all of this that I'm seeing, templates, sequences, documents, meetings. I can pull it in my Gmail. So I don't need to email from HubSpot, but in order to use the sequences tool, I need a sales seat. To just send an email, I can do the core seat. No, keep the questions coming. I love it. And as we've already saw, other people had the same question. So it's perfect. Okay, so everyone get into HubSpot one more time with me. This is the best activity because it's the easiest and it's the most satisfying. We're going to all save a pre-built out dashboard. So once you're in HubSpot, I would like everyone to go to the reporting tab. It's all the way down at the bottom. And then you're going to click dashboards. So you're going to go to the reporting tab all the way down at the bottom. And then you're going to click dashboards. It looks like kind of like 3 lines. So reporting tab and then dashboards. And then some of you may see reports, but some of you may see a screen that just says create a dashboard, and then it says choose a template. So if your screen says create a dashboard and choose a template, you're exactly where you need to be. Just hang tight. If any of you go to this page, reporting and dashboards, and you see a bunch of reports like my screen, we just want to click create dashboard all the way at the top right-hand corner. So you can see where my mouse is. We can just click create dashboard in the top right-hand corner. So reporting, dashboards, and then we want to click create dashboard. Natasha said, mine just says reporting and under that goals only. So when you go to reporting and then dashboards, it says reporting under that goals. I wonder, Natasha, if you don't have the dashboards option, I wonder if it's permissions. Because I think it was us that was chatting earlier. There might be some permissions issues. So probably permissions. Everyone has access to dashboards. So talk to the admin. You should 100% be able to have access to the dashboards. Good note there. So I'm going to click create dashboards. And once you click create dashboards, you should see we have all these templates to choose from. So take a minute, just take 30 seconds. Just pick one that piques your interest. We got marketing dashboards, we have sales dashboards. You can always create more, so don't worry too much about this. I'm going to go with the CRM data overview. This is one that I would recommend for everyone. It helps you, just see where your contacts are coming from, how's your data quality. So you can do the CRM data overview with me, or you can choose your own. Let's click it. And then we're going to see a list of reports that are included in that dashboard. You can uncheck any that aren't of interest, or you can just keep them all. You can always delete them later. We're going to click next, and then we're just going to click create dashboard. And that's it. Just click create dashboard. And then you will now have a dashboard with all of those reports in HubSpot. So choose a template, review the reports, click create dashboard. And then it may not look like anything happens once you click create, but if you exit out of this screen here, you should then see your dashboard. So now you have your own custom dashboard. You can click the top right-hand corner to see different dashboards. You can drag and drop the reports. You can always filter down reports more as well. So I could highlight any report, click the 3 dots and filter it by teams, filter it by different properties. And you can also add in content externally. So if I click add content, I can click external content and I can pull in sheets or slides, YouTube if I need to as well. But I would start with these default dashboards, browse through them. Maybe you saved one today, but you want to take some time outside of the workshop to go through the rest of them because they're pre-built out for you. You can see I already have my data populated because I have a lot of data in this account. And then I can always filter it down, drag and drop, or add reports later. Okay, I want to be cautious of our time. So I'm going to wrap us up, and then I will hang on for a couple minutes at the end for more questions. So if you have a question about reporting, just save them for a second, because I want to be very considerate of your time. So I want to wrap us up, and then I'll stay on a couple minutes at the end if that's okay for everyone. I would say that we had the most productive Monday of any Mondays ever. I hope you felt the same. We created and used a user and team. We created a custom property. We imported our records. We explored the contact record. We learned how to customize our CRM. I'm going to keep going. We connected our personal email, and we created a dashboard with reports. Oh, thanks, Natasha. I appreciate it. Actually, when you all end, this is actually my first time running this session. So when you all click exit, you'll get a survey. So just would love any feedback. Actually, that would be really appreciative. Thank you. You just made my day. So thank you. But yeah, I would always appreciate feedback survey. You'll get it when you end the Zoom. You'll get a feedback survey. But yeah, you should all give yourselves a huge pat on the back. This was a lot today. It was a lot to cover. And I appreciated all the thoughtful questions throughout. Now, don't hate me. Before you go, I do have some homework items that I would like you to do. I just want to walk you through them quickly. They are all located in your post-workshop checklist. All of these take less than 10 minutes, and they are going to be really helpful. This links you to step-by-step instructions on how to do all of them. So I'm going to leave you with some homework, but I promise it will be worth your time. The first thing I want you to do is my marketing folks. I want you to connect the email send domain. It's going to be right in settings. Again, step-by-step instructions are in the worksheet. You're going to want someone from IT that has access to those DNN records. Connect your email send domain so that way your marketing emails are not ending up in spam. Number 2 piece of homework, connect your tech stack. HubSpot has over 1,000 integrations, maybe even more. They're certified. You can integrate with Claude. You can integrate with Slack. You don't need any technical knowledge. You just install the plugin. So I want you to integrate your tech stack. To do so, you're going to go to this house icon in the top right-hand corner of your HubSpot account. You're going to go to the marketplace and you're going to search. We do Canva, Zoom, Teams, Salesforce, Pipedrive, MailChimp, WordPress, Shopify, Wix. I could go on. So you want to get your tech stack connected. Let's say I host my website in WordPress. I'm going to search. I'm going to click, and then I'm going to click install. So that's homework part 2. Connect your tech stack. Homework part 3. I would like you to install the tracking code. Again, you can see some of these are more so for someone on the technical side. So we want your website views to be tracked, right? Like if you're creating a marketing campaign, you want to know who's viewed what page. If you're reaching out to a lead and you see they viewed your pricing page, that's really helpful. So you want to install the tracking code in HubSpot on your website. So that way your tracking is installed into HubSpot. It looks like it's code. All you have to do is copy it and then you email it to your developer. So let me show you, because sometimes the tracking code looks a little bit technical. All you do is click settings. You scroll all the way down to tracking and analytics. You click tracking code. You message your web person and you say, I have a code for you. You copy the code. You send it to them. They're going, see, copy or email it to developer. They're going to put this code on every page of your site just before the body tag. I don't know much about code, but all you have to do is copy this, send them those instructions. Then your website will be connected. You can test it out there, and then you'll be able to track your website visitors. And then last but not least, for my marketers on the call, and then I'll let you go, set up your brand kit. Set up your brand kit. It takes less than 2 minutes. Upload your colors, upload your logos. Then when you create content, it will be in your fonts and your colors. You're going to go to marketing and you're going to go down to brand. Click brand. You're going to add in your logo. You're going to add in your colors. I don't give you this homework to overwhelm you, just some thoughts of things I think you should do this week as you're finishing setting up your CRM. There are step-by-step instructions for all of this. It's your post-workshop checklist. Setting up your brand kit, installing the tracking code, connecting your tech stack, and sending your email domain. I'm going to stay on for a few more minutes for questions, but if you do have to hop off at the 30 minutes, you have your homework. It's important, I promise, less than 10 minutes for each of those last activities. And then, of course, join your workshops, right? We set the foundation today, but you all want to know more, right? You want to know what sales tools can you optimize? What about the marketing side, the service side? So you have the groundwork now. Join the other workshops. There's 2 sessions per track. They're awesome. They're going to show you any and all the tools you need from the sales side, from the marketing side, from the service side. If anyone has a hard stop, thank you for joining me. Enjoy the rest of your day. But for those that have questions, stay on with me. We can take the next 5 or so minutes to answer some questions. Hannah said, does connecting your tech stack make the connection for all users? Yes, unless it's something like Zoom. So that would depend on the account, right? So if I'm connecting like a Zoom personal account, but if it's a Zoom organization account, then yes. So 90% of the time it makes the connection for the whole account. So if I'm connecting Shopify, Wix, I don't know if you have a specific integration in mind, we can look through, but let's say, I think the Shopify one, like this is going to connect it for everyone. Claude, connect it for everyone. I think the Claude one's great. You can then use your HubSpot data in Claude. So 90% of them is for the whole account. There may be a few one-offs. Diana said, thanks, very informative. Sorry to keep nitpicking on service. No worries. Oh, okay. That's a good note, Diana. You know what? Let me make a note. I'm going to look into that. Diana, have you joined the Slack channel? If not, I have your email. So let me follow up with you. We are running Service Hub workshops, so I will make sure that you get the link for the Service Hub workshop. Don't worry if you haven't joined the Slack. I can get your email from this registration list. So let me just make a note for myself. I will reach out to our program manager, see where that link went, and I will be sure to email you with our Service Hub registration link so that you can sign up for those workshops, because those ones are great, some of my favorites. So don't worry, just stay tuned. I'll have to reach out internally to see why, but I will be in touch. Which workshops would you recommend for nonprofits trying to collect donor information to collect into the CRM? follow-up question for you, David. Do you by chance know what HubSpot plan you have? Because initially I'm thinking maybe the sales track might be helpful. That is totally fine. So each of the tracks, and let me actually go back to, yeah, this is a good screen. So each of these tracks, Sales Hub, Marketing Hub, Service Hub, they all actually correlate to a direct HubSpot plan. And so in terms of like trying to collect information into the CRM, they all could relate to it in their own way. Like with Marketing Hub, you bring in information through forums, which is a great way to bring in information. But with Sales Hub, they talk a lot about, some sales integrations or getting information from outside platforms. So what I would do is when you are in your HubSpot account, go to your profile icon in the top right-hand corner. And if you click account and billing, then you will be able to see what tools you have. Mine's a demo account, so mine just says free tools, but it should say Sales Hub, Marketing Hub, or Service Hub. And then you're going to match that to the track that you're going to want to take. Because essentially each track will show you within your plan what are the best tools, how should you set it up, and then it's obviously live. So then once you're on the session, you can ask questions about your specific business and like how would they recommend setting up this specific tool for a nonprofit. And just to show you all what this looks like in the Resource Center, I'll pop this link in the chat. So after today's workshop, and again, Diana, I'm going to get you the Service Hub link because that's a good call out. But what we're going to do once we're on the Resource Center, we're going to click Workshop Series Registration. And then once it decides to load for us, you can see that we can choose the different series. And I do see what you're seeing there, Diana, but we just did get started. So we can check that off. So I could say, okay, I need to take Marketing Hub. I'm going to go to Marketing Hub and I'm going to sign up. And you're going to sign up for both. So you're going to sign up for generate leads and automate marketing. Dave said, I think I have the HubSpot for Marketers Fresh. Okay, perfect. So then you're going to want to go to the Marketing Hub series, and I would sign up for generate leads and automate marketing. So for each track, guys, I would recommend signing up for both. So for Sales Hub, we have build pipeline and we have close deals. You can do this is just 2 different times. We have one for North America, one for Asia Pacific time zone. But I would recommend sign up for both build pipeline and close deals because they all have helpful information and they build off of each other. So you'll see this one's on the 23rd, this one's on the 25th. So this one actually follows up with this session, which is nice. So it's like a 2-day workshop where today we only have one. I'm sure you guys would love to talk about the CRM for 5 more hours with me, but you would take that. But for you, David, I would go to the Marketing Hub and then I would join generate leads and automate marketing and then go from there. And then of course you have the Slack channel, which you all should join. You can join the private community, join us on Slack, message us as questions come up. We're here to help. And yeah, but yeah, let me know what other questions you have, folks. If not, then I appreciate you learning with me. Again, always appreciate your feedback. So if you do have time to fill out that survey, would love your feedback. I hope you all have a great rest of your week. I hope you feel like you started the week off on a productive note, and keep joining the sessions. This is just the first of many on your HubSpot journey. Thanks, Hannah. I appreciate it. So great question, Diana. So the recording is not going to be sent to you, but it will show up on the Resource Center. So basically everything you need is in the Resource Center. Where you'll be able to find the recording is in the Resources tab. So when you go to the Resources tab, yes, of course, I can show you. So basically, out of all these tabs, the 2 that I would pay attention to is Workshop Registration and Resources. These are your 2 important tabs. Resources, you click the Resources tab and you go to Recording. You can find the recording. Now, we already have a bunch of recordings of old workshops. These are yours to watch. They're not outdated. They're just a couple weeks old. So if you want to watch any of these recordings, you're more than welcome to, but just note ours will be uploaded on this space as well. For what we went over today, these 3 workshop recordings called Smart CRM Essentials cover very similar topics, but again, our specific recording will be uploaded and it will be in the resources section. And Yes, there is recordings of Service Hub. And Diana, those are great. Like I said, all these are only a couple weeks old. So if you want to watch the Service Hub one, Diana, and then take the live session when I email you, might as well, right? It'll only be so you can get started with the Service Hub workshops. They're great. And then that will give you a full overview of Service Hub. The live recording may have some similarities. I mean, the live session may have similarities to the recording, but always good to get a review. And on that note, if any of you want to take this again with me, or with another one of my teammates, I'm running this again next Monday, same exact workshop. So, if you want a review, never hurts. So I'll run this again on Monday if you want to join me again. Exactly. In the meantime, before the live sessions. And also office hours up here at the top. These are yours to join. So I just want to call this out too. Yes, awesome, Natasha. Great idea. Get access and then join again. And then you'll already have the groundwork. You'll already be familiar, but you can go in and you can set it up. Perfect. I love it. Office hours up at the top, guys. These are yours. This is part of your process. So if you feel like you want to talk with someone on Zoom to talk through some strategy, you can join an office hour too. That's just a space where one of the Academy professors will be there, and we're just here to help. Just here to help questions, like questions that come following up the workshop. So I want you also to note that you have access to those office hours. Any other questions? Anything else for today? Good question, David. So office hours isn't on an individual basis. It's really just whoever's around to join. So you may find other customers in office hours as well. But they're normally not too crowded, I would say, not as crowded as our workshops. And sometimes it's nice to kind of brainstorm with another customer. But an office hour would probably have maybe like 2 or 3 other customers, I would say, depending on the day. Diana said, one last question to confirm. Will you send me an invite to join the HubSpot Slack? And will you send me the live session for Service Hub? Diana, I will definitely send you the link to join the live session Service Hub. I can also send you the link to join the Slack community, but you can also do it through this link right here. So if you do want to join it right now, I just put that link in the chat. You can just click Meet the Community. That will take you to Slack. But I will be following up with you with the link for the Service Hub. Just note it might take a day or two because I'm going to just reach out to our program manager, just get that link, and then I'll email it over to you. But I will be in touch getting you that link to sign up for our Service Hub. Anyone else that's still on the call wants the link to the Service Hub, have Service Hub Pro or Enterprise, that would want that link? David said, sure. All right, perfect. Let me just follow up with Diana and then David as well. Just note, David, that it may have some tools that you don't have because you said you had HubSpot for marketers. So that might have some extra tools that you don't have, but that it also has tools that everyone has. So it might be a little bit of both, but it has a lot of those Service Hub Pro or Enterprise tools. So Natasha as well. Okay, awesome. Perfect. So that session is for Service Hub Pro or Enterprise. So just know that there may be some tools that might not be in your plan. But always open to learning, right? And maybe you'll see a tool that you end up wanting to get. Like I said, perfect. Appreciate it. Be on the lookout. Thank you so much. All right, perfect. Dave said, okay, then no worries. All right, awesome. Okay, so I'll send it to Natasha and Diana then. All right, great. Well, thanks for staying on with me, everyone. That's really all I have for you. I know I have some follow-up action items, but yeah, really thanks for an awesome session, guys. I know it's Monday. I know we're coming off the weekend, but I just really appreciated all of the awesome questions throughout today's session. This made it so much fun for me. I hope that I kicked off your Academy onboarding experience on a high note. And yeah, use your worksheet, use tech support, use office hours. You have all the support that you need. So just make sure you're leveraging us. Don't be a stranger. And hopefully I'll see you all soon. Bye, everyone. Have a good one. Bye. Have a good one. Bye, everyone.